Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video is sponsored by Help Feeding People Who Need It and Stop Dissecting Countries and Destroying People's Homes for your capitalistic yachts and buffoonery. So, let's just enjoy this little video clip before I get back to doing what I do best.
I dare you to fix me. I'm crossing the line again, falling on my knees. No stranger to pain, it's never ending, it's only something I can't forget. My heart won't let it rest, but you keep on forgiving. Admit that I'm afraid. If I let go of this pain, am I completely betrayed? There's no air left to breathe. I'm drowning. Vultures are circling me. Around it, I need to fight. I know it's just so hard to let it go. Shine a light I can see.
Alrighty, back to the regularly scheduled programming. In the 8th month of the 2nd year, the word of who I am called a prophet, Zechariah, son of Berechiah, the son of Edo, who I am was very angry with your ancestors. Therefore tell the people, this is what who I am says. Return to me, declares who I am, and I will return to you, says who I am. Do not be like your ancestors, to whom the earlier prophets proclaimed, this is what who I am says. Turn from your evil ways and your evil practices, but they would not listen or pay attention to me, declares who I am. Where are your ancestors now and the prophets? Do they live forever? But did not my words and my decrees, which I commanded my servants, the prophets, to overtake your ancestors? Then they repented and said, who I am has done this to us, what our way and practices deserves, just as he determines to do, the man among the myrtle trees. On the 24th day of the 11th month, the month of Shebat, in the 2nd year, the word of who I am came to a prophet, Zechariah, 2nd year of Darius. The word of who I am came to a prophet, Zechariah, son of Berechiah, the son of Edo. During the night, I had a vision, and there before me was a man mounted on a red horse. He was standing among the myrtle trees in a ravine. Behind him were red, brown, and white horses. I asked, what are these, my lord? And the angel who was talking with me answered, I will show you what they are. Then the man standing among the myrtle trees explained, they are the ones who I am has sent to go throughout the flesh. They reported to the angel of who I am, who was standing among the myrtle trees. We have gone throughout the flesh and found the whole world at rest and in peace. Then the angel of who I am said, how long will you hold mercy from Jerusalem and from the towns of Judah, which you have been angry? If you replace the S with the H, you get Judas, which you have been angry with these 70 years. The 7 time periods is symbolic. So who I am spoke kind and comforting words to the angel who talked to me. So the 4 horsemen, who are the 4 people I brought back. I said, I am like the angel of fire. And where do you find that? Joshua. Yeah. When people say Yeshua, they're saying Yehashu. They're saying, I am gracious salvation. Shua Yeshua is the salvation of Shu. I'm telling you, it comes from Egypt, and the word came out of Egypt. So you look at Moses, or yeah, you look at Moses, Elijah, and John the Baptist. I said those are like the three other archangels, and then you have Joshua, who battled the kings of AI. When I say AI, I'm talking about what this book says, artificial intelligence, or back then there was kings of AI, which manifested, I don't even know. Then the angel who was speaking to me said, proclaim this word. This is what who I am says. I am very jealous for Jerusalem and Zion, and I am very angry with the nations that feel secure. I was only a little angry, but then they went too far with the punishment. Therefore, this is what who I am says. I will return to Jerusalem with mercy, and there my house will be rebuilt, and the measuring line will be stretched out over Jerusalem, declares who I am. Proclaim further, this is what who I am says. My towns will again overflow with prosperity, and who I am will again comfort Zion and choose Jerusalem. 4 horns and the 4 craftsmen. Then I looked up, and there before me were 4 horns. I asked the angel who was speaking to me, what are these? He answered me, these are the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. I told y'all, 4 major prophets. Or no, let me take that back. This is who these prophets were talking about. It was the 4 nations, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Then who I am showed me 4 craftsmen. I asked, what are these coming to do? He answered, these are the horns that scattered Judah so that no one could raise their head. But the craftsmen have come to terrify them and throw down these horns of the nations who lifted up their horns against the hand of Judah and scatter its people. You see, so like I said, you got the 4 you got the 4 nations that scattered, and then you got the 4 prophets. You think of that as the 4 archangels who I keep mentioning, or you can think of that as the 4 major prophets in the Old Testament, because you had 4 that was finna scatter them, and then you had 4 that was finna fix it and raise it up. Then I looked up, and therefore before me was a man with a measuring line in his hand. I asked, where are you going? He answered me, to measure, because if you look at any of these prophets, they come from the house of Elijah or Zoroaster. So if you look at that name Zoroaster, it's Zara Estra or Zara Esther. The one with the scarlet ribbon, the prophets really were poets whose words were like fire. And then you have the one after, Perez, right? So then if you pay attention to this, you had at first the prophets came, but then they withdrew, and then Perez came, John the Baptist. I said it's like Elijah and John, because John said he wasn't a part of none of this. That's how you know he had an I am. He basically was awakened, and he was like, but I'm going to be like, if you really look at John, he's kind of like the bronze serpent in the wilderness in a way, but not. So I'm going to explain. The bronze serpent in the wilderness is the 10 Commandments. It was raised up by Moses to heal anybody who's seen it. But then what happens is they destroyed it and created a pagan idol, starting with the Semitic people, with Aaron. While the angel who was speaking to me was leaving, another angel came to meet him and said, run, tell that young man Jerusalem will be a city without walls because of the great number of people and animals in it. And I myself will be the wall of fire around it, declares who I am. And I will be its glory within. Come, flee from the land of the north, declares who I am. For I have scattered you to the 4 winds of the heart, declares who I am. Come, Zion, escape, you who live in daughter Babylon, for this is what who I am says. After the glorious one has sent me against the nations that have plundered you, for whoever touches you touches the apple of his eye. I will surely raise my hand against them, that the spirits that they want to confess to will take them over, and the gods that they want to follow will take them over. They will follow their father in the imagination of the pit. Then you will know that who I am has sent me, that the Almighty has sent me. Same thing. Shout and be glad, daughter Zion, for I am coming, and I will live among you, declares who I am. Many nations will be joined with who I am in that day, and will become my people. I will live among you, and you will know that who I am has sent me to you. I am the one who will inherit Judah as the portion in the Holy Land and will again choose Jerusalem. Be still before who I am, and all mankind, because he has roused himself from his holy dwelling. Then he showed me Yehashu, the high priest, standing before the angel of who I am, and Satan, standing at his right side to accuse him. Who I am said to Satan, I rebuke thee. I rebuke thee, who I am not. The who I am has chosen Jerusalem. I am the one who has chosen Jerusalem, and I rebuke thee. Is not this man a burning stick snatched from the fire? Now Yehanan was dressed, Yeheshu, or Yehanan, or Wani, was dressed in filthy clothes as he stood before the angel. And the angel said to those who were standing before him, take off his filthy clothes. Then he said to Yeheshu, see, I have taken away your sin, and I will put fine garments on you. Then I said, put a clean turban on his head. So they put a clean turban on his head and clothed him, while the angel of who I am stood by. The angel of who I am gave this charge to Yehanan, Yeheshu, Wani. Just say Wani. This is what who I am says. If you will walk in obedience to me and keep my requirements, then you will govern my house and have charge of my courts. And I will give you, I am with thee, as I was with Moses. I will give you a place among these standing here. Listen, high priest Wani, you and your associates seated before you, who are men symbolic of things to come, I am going to bring my servant, the branch. See the stone I have set in front of you. There are the 7 eyes and that one stone, and I will engrave an inscription on it, says who I am. And I will remove the sin of this land in a single day. And a day each of you will invite your neighbor to sit under your vine and fig tree, declares who I am. The gold lampstands and the 2 olive trees. Then the angel who talked with me returned and woke me up, like someone awakened from a sleep. He asked me, what do you see? I answered, I see a solid gold lampstand with a bowl at the top and 7 lamps on it, with 7 channels to the lamps. Also there were 2 olive trees by it, one on the right side of the bowl and the other to its left. I asked the angel who talked with me, what are these, my Lord? He answered, do you not know what these are? No, my Lord, I replied. Okay, the golden lampstand is the first. It's the first 3 commandments, or 6, however you want to look at it. So now, remember, I broke it down in the last video. It's like 6. It's the I am who I am. I am sent me, the phrase, I am the one who freed you from the land of Egypt. Then the 4 archangels that surround the throne, or whatever. So if you really look at that, you have the name. Then you have Moses, who used the name to free. Then you have Elijah to say, or then you have Joshua that reset up the temple and said, have no gods before me, who I am. Then you have Elijah that says no idols. Remember what he did to the Baal's pagan statues and set up the temple again. And then you have Yehohanan, then you have John, who was like, don't bow down to them. Remember, because John was like, nope, not happening. And he carried through what he had to. And then you had Yehanan, I will return with the name they won't understand, and he will be the word. When I put my scrolls, I am the word. And he will come with the name of the living one and tread the winepress. Do not take who I am in vain. And then the 4 archangels that surround the throne of the name. And then you have the 7 lampstands, the 7 horns on top of the lamb's heads, or whatever, the 7 commandments, because they might be the stars in the hand that give light. But also, remember, at first, they're the phrases that come to us like angels and then give us that light. So it's ultimately on the head. So as mighty as any other lamb want to be or are, they still got that stone, the 10 commandments, that protects them, as I told you all. So he said to me, this is the word of who I am. Not by my might or my power, don't worship me, but by my spirit, says who I am Almighty. What are you, mighty mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you will become level ground. Then he will bring out the capstone and shouts, who I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessing it. So what did I do? I told y'all before, it's like the tree being removed or whatever. Um, the tree that was a mighty tree that was built, and they was like, oh, nothing will touch it or whatever. And then it's the same as the other prophets. Then the word of who I am came to me. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands will also complete it. Then you will know that who I am has sent me to you. I think, okay. Who dares despise the day of small things, since the 7 eyes of who I am that range throughout the whole flesh will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hand of Zerubbabel. Then I asked the angel, what are the 2 olive trees on the right and the left of the lampstand? Then I asked him again, what are these 2 olive branches beside the golden pipes that pour out the golden oil? He replied, do you not know what these are? No, who I am said. He said, these are the 2 who anointed to serve who I am of all the flesh. So, I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's the Old Testament and New Testament. Good. Because if you pay attention, I got any of this because of if you really righteously pay attention and take off the pagan idol gods, every blessing that every prophet is talking about, the land of milk and honey, the fiery sword, the mighty angel, all that stuff, we're the Lord and this is our kingdom, so to speak. He built a kingdom for priests for who I am, for the heart, the kingdom of the heart. So I can go read Psalms, I can read Solomon, I can read even if I do read Aaron or any of this stuff, it's all edification. It teaches me how to be balanced in life, so to speak. So if I read this and start saying, the Lord God, or I'm going to get this and that, you're being manipulated and afraid instead of the most high being inside, so to speak. I am the King of Kings. I am the King of the heart. Who I am is the king, if that makes sense. But not over everybody, because everybody possesses this capability. And so I got this from the Old Testament and New Testament, because at first it was like a mighty mountain trying to destroy the soul because of how these men wrote it. But then I refined it. The fires will come down. So no, my Lord, I said, so basically, if you really think about that, the fires that come down is who I am, refining the Old Testament, which is used like the Satan because they used it to manipulate people. The New Testament, which is used like the beast because they used it to slave for Jesus. And then the people who are bound and manipulated by this, the spirits that walk the flesh. So then when they hear me talking, all this was refined, the book, and the people. And then basically it's now Jerusalem. It's like a fortress to protect who I am. I could go read any of this book like a science book or anything. I don't have to hate the book or say God is this and that and all sorts of stuff. Because then essentially, since I am is attached to that, we're really invoking our own power. If you look up what God means, it means Gudan, to invoke power from Germanic. And I'm telling you all this stuff. So he said, these are the 2 anointed to serve who I am of the whole flesh. Then I looked again, and there before me was a flying scroll. He said to me, what do you see? I answered, a flying scroll, 20 cubits long and 10 cubits wide. He said to me, this is the curse that is going over the whole land. So look at this. 10 cubits wide, 20 cubits long. So there's 2 of them, so to speak, with 10 heads. What is that? That's the 2 beasts. And they finna go destroy the world. And if you pay attention, if the first beast is Pharaoh, or the dragon is Pharaoh, it's basically saying all kingdoms with a king that rules over all of the people and manipulate them instead of who I am leading in the heart. And then if you look at the beast kingdom, then you have the Semitic era or the Middle East, Canaan, Babylon, whatever, that all came together and created an image for this Pharaoh-y god or whatever. Once Pharaoh was knocked out of the sky, then they created a god for this image. Bow or die, bow or die. I'm the one that rules everybody. But when I say that, I'm talking about their gods like God and Jesus and Allah and all these random names instead of who I am governing in the heart, the king. So then You go even further, then you have, that's why I say Noah and Aaron, but then you have the body of this lamb that's built by the people. Who first started doing for the people like that? You have Samuel. Then he created kings that started walking the flesh and all this other stuff. This became the idol that walked the earth. If y'all seeing what I'm saying. So basically, yeah. And he said to me, this is and the two kingdoms that was created out of its head was Protestantism and Catholicism. This isn't a lie. This is real edification. This is truth. Those were the first two kingdoms in Christendom. And he said to me, this is the curse that is going throughout the whole land. For according to what it says on one side, every thief will be banished. And according to what it says on the other side, everyone who swears, thou shalt not bear false witness, will be banished. Who I am declares. I will send it out, and it will enter to the house of the thief and into the house of anyone who swears falsely by my name. It will remain in that house and destroy it completely, both its timbers and stones. And so, remember what I was telling you about how I was in a house and then the house was destroyed? Because they created an institution where the whole world is to bow. We were basically in Pharaoh. Okay, I'm going to say something, but don't get tweaked out. Remember how Job's house had, who I am not going to and fro from it, but then who I am not went up and started talking to Job, because I'm telling you, Job's the most high. I'm not saying Job is the most high of everybody. I'm saying in this story where the Lord is talking to who he is not, that's essentially Job letting spirits in. So basically, what to tempt himself, right? Thou shalt not tempt who I am. I'm trying to tell y'all. So then, basically what ends up happening is you have people that are in the Pharaoh's house, the firstborn's house, all of us. As I said, this is Pharaoh's kingdom. It came out of Egypt. So then what happens is the serpent destroys the house, and then new spirits leave the house. That's kind of like my dream was talking about. That's crazy to me. I am here doing this for a reason. Then look, a woman in a basket. Then the angel who was speaking to me came forward and said to me, look up and see what is appearing. I asked, what is it? He replied, it is a basket. And he added, this is the antiquity of the people throughout the land. Then the cover of the lead was raised, and there in the basket sat a woman, Babylon. He said, this is wickedness. And he pushed her back. So you guys don't think I'm like being racist or like anti. So Joshua came around 1300 BC. Akhenaten reformed all this stuff. Then you have another man who comes after him, Samuel, right? Samuel comes and then brings kings and stuff, right? So I'm going to show you guys something. Who attacked? When did Judah get attacked by Babylon? Here we go. So Elijah would have come far before any of these prophets. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. It would have been Moses. It would have been like Amos. Then you would have had the Aarons or whatever, the Hyksos, mixing back into Pharaohs and messing stuff up. Then Akhenaten, Joshua, come and had to reform this. He brought the Aten, the Most High, back. 10 I ams, Atenism. Come on, man, it's like a roadmap. Then you go even further. Then Samuel and these other prophets and different people ruined it again. So then Elijah comes, Zoroaster reforms all the stuff. But then they're attacked by all these other nations because people are mixing into it. So then Babylon is the one that first came and did all this. Remember Nebuchadnezzar and the prophets are talking to him and all da. Come on, man. Like, this isn't racism. Then you have the Talmud and the Gomorrah and all this. Then cover the lead was raised, and the basket sat a woman. He said, this is wickedness, and pushed her back into the basket and pushed its lead cover down on it. Then I looked up, and there before me were two women with the wind in their wings. They had wings like those of a stork, and they lifted the basket between the heart and the flesh. Where are they taking the basket? The angel who was speaking to me, he replied, the country of Babylonia. First the Torah, then the New Testament, the Old and the New Testament. Because at first it was really the Torah. First it was the Ten Commandments or whatever Moses taught. I wasn't here at that time, so all I can do is go off this book. And it says Moses destroyed the Egyptian man that was hurting the Hebrews. And then he went to his homeland and was feeding 7 women and flocks at a well. I told you, he was the Son of Man, which is the beginning of the covenant. And then the 7 commandments that follow. But then another man brought him back to Egypt and did a whole bunch of buffoonery with it. He replied to the country of Babylonia to build a house for it. So then you had the prophets that came later that tried to fight this. So then we have that to look at to see what they were doing. And then you have John the Baptist who came and did something else. So that's like Elijah and John. And then so the prophets are like John's apostles. And then John's apostles are like John's apostles. And they created a new word to help us fight this stuff, these spirits, these lies. To the country. That's why I say when you worship them as gods, you're breaking the covenant. To the country of Babylonia to build a house for it. When the house is ready, the basket will be set there in its place. So you're not going to be in trouble for saying, I am who I am the Most High. This book, the soul, the spirit, the water, and the flesh agree. I promise you it does. My spirit's like, ooh, I'm the Most High. I didn't realize this. So then once I got it, it wasn't just, oh, I'm going to be evil mean, because it all started coming back to me. And it was like, ooh, I can feel it. Accountability. Then the waters agreed. I was like, oh, look what these prophets talking about. Look at all this murder, death, kill, destroying people's poems. Then I go even further, and the flesh agrees. I don't like feeling the pain. Accountability, love, clarity, peace, humility, truth, contentment over, I always have to be happy. I looked up again, and there before me, so am I saying being happy is bad? No. But you try to be happy 24/7 all day, every day. On the other side of the scale, might tip. Me were 4 chariots coming out from between the 2 mountains, the 4 horsemen, the mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, and the second black, and the third white, and the 4 dappled. You could look at this as the 4 horsemen. You could look at this as the first 4 in the covenant that I was talking about, the first 4 commandments, because it's 4, I'm telling you, plus the phrase, I freed you in the name. So then, even you could look at that, the 2 mountains could be the name and the phrase, and then the 4 chariots that come out could be the 4, or it could be like the 4 gospels in each one. So you have 4 major prophets that came out in the Old Testament, and then you have 4 gospels from 4 major apostles that came out in the New Testament from both mountains. The 3rd white and the 4 dappled. It's the same thing as the Lamb saying he released 4 seals, which would be what I am doing. Oof. Listen, I was told to give the name, the phrase, and the 4 commandments, and then I came with the other 7. So can't nobody accuse me. And as I've told you all before, thou shalt not rape is to me the same as thou shalt not kill, but killing is still disgusting. So, I asked the angel who was speaking to me, what are these? What are these? The angel answered to me. Now you see how he's calling the angel a Lord, because the Most High is the King of Kings. I'm trying to tell y'all. Then the angel answered me, these are 4 spirits of the heart going out from standing in the presence of who I am of the whole world. The one with the black horses. Oh, so basically the covenant. The one with the black horses is going toward the north country, because even I told you all the covenant is still just words and stuff. I am who I am, and I am the Most High, but at the same time I follow it because I'm faithful and true. The one with the wine horses toward the west, and the one with the dappled horse towards the south. Then the powerful horses went out. They were straining to go throughout the flesh, and said, go throughout the flesh. So they went throughout the flesh. And then he called to me, look, those going towards the north country have given my spirit rest in the land of the north. See, rest. I'm trying to the crown for Joshua. Those who put it up north, right? If they put the covenant in their heart, I'm trying to tell y'all, the word of who I am came to me. Take silver and gold from the exiles, Heldai, Tobijah, and Jedaiah, who have arrived from Babylon, the same day, to the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah. Zephaniah. Take the silver and gold to make a crown and set it on the head of the high priest Wani, son of Josedek. So tell him, Joshua, son of Josedek, tell him, this is what who I am says. There is a man whose name is the branch. He will branch out from his place and build a temple of who I am. It is he who will build the temple of who I am, and he will be clothed with majesty and will sit and rule on his throne, and he will be a priest on his throne, and there will be a harmony between the two. The crown will be given to Heldai, Tobijah, Jediah, and Hen, son of Zephaniah, as the memorial of the temple of who I am. Those who are far away will come and help build the temple of who I am, and you will know that who I am has sent me to you. This will happen if you diligently obey if you diligently obey I am who I am. In the 4th year of the King Darius, the word of who I am came to Zechariah on the 4th day of the 9th month, in the month of Kislev. The people of Bethel had sent Sherezer and Rogamelech together with their men to entreat who I am, by asking the priests of the house of who I am and the prophets, should I mourn and fast in the 5th month, as I have done for so many years? Oh, the 5th seal. Then the word of who I am came to me. Ask all the people of the land of the priests, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th months for the past 70 years, time periods, and this and that and all that, was it really for me that you fasted? And when you were eating and drinking, were you not? Oof, a warning to the 5th seal and a warning to the 7th. The rest. I'm telling y'all, bro, just like Job was saying and everybody else, do not forsake who I am. Do not forsake the name and the spirit, and do not forsake the covenant. And when you were eating and drinking, were you not just feasting for yourselves? Are these not words of who I am proclaimed through the earlier prophets, when Jerusalem and its surrounding towns were not at rest and prosperous? You all saying only Jesus could save, not realizing it's the body of everybody, the word, that has been slaughtered and murdered for this word to keep us alive and healthy and fight kings. And the Negev and the western foothills were settled, and the word of who I am came again to Zechariah. This is what who I am said: administer true justice and show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor. Do not plot who I am not against each other. Do not plot evil against each other. But they refuse to pay attention stubbornly. They turned their backs and covered their ears. They made their hearts as hard as flint and would not listen and let me circumcise the heart with the flint knife to the law or to the words of who I am, that has sent by spirit through the earlier prophets. And Joseph came out of Egypt with the word with Mary. So the Lord Almighty was very angry, and I'm not no. Just calm down and keep reading. When I called, they did not listen. So when they called, I would not listen. And says who I am: I scattered them in a whirlwind among the nations where they were strangers. The land they left behind them was so desolate that no one traveled through it. This is how they made the pleasant land desolate. Who I am promises to bless Jerusalem. The word of who I am came to me. This is what who I am says: I am very jealous for Zion. I am burning with jealousy for her. This is what who I am says: I will return to Zion and dwell in Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the faithful city, and the mountain of the who I am will be called the holy mountain. This is what who I am says: once again, men and women of ripe old age. Oh shit, where's Zion? Age will sit in the streets of Jerusalem. Each of them will cane in hand with cane in hand because of their age. The city streets will be filled with boys and girls playing there. This is what Huarm says. I don't know the full extent of what our power is, but I'm telling you guys, I think that it may seem marvelous to the remnant of this people at the time, but will it seem marvelous to me, declares who I am. This is what who I am says. I will save my people from the countries of the east and west. I will bring them back to live in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them as who I am. This is what who I am says. Now hear these words. Let your hands be strong so that the temple may be built. This is also what the prophets said who were present when the foundation was laid for the house of who I am. Before that time there were no wages for people or hire for animals. No one could go about their business safely because of their enemies, since I had turned everyone against their neighbor. But now I will not deal with the remnant of this people as I did in the past, declares who I am. The fifth and sixth generation will be happy. The seed will grow well with the vine will yield its fruits, the ground will produce its crops, and the heart will drop its dew. God doesn't talk to us. Now I am opening the kingdom, opening the clouds. So now I am talking to you all. I am going to say something from the heart. This is what they want. Imagine you are something, and that something is truly probably forever and all-knowing and all. So sometimes that something wants to experience something new. And so if who I am is able to, I'd like to do that. Call it a human liking not to sit in a room all day and just know everything, but maybe would perhaps like to play a game, or perhaps like to do something of fun, or perhaps like to enjoy something without knowing everything all the time. So, what if I am one of us and wants to just enjoy a natural life, but keep being awakened by the cries over and over and over? Am I not in all of you? Can I not enjoy my life? I will give all these things as an inheritance to the remnant of these people, just as you, Judah and Israel, have been accursed among the nations. I will so save you, and you will be a blessing. So I do not have to hear this anymore. Every time I lift my eyes. Don't be afraid, but let your hands be strong. For am I not with all of you? This is what who I am says. Just as I have determined to bring disaster on you and show no pity when your ancestors angered me, because they're the ones that wrote this stuff. Says who I am. Now I have determined to do good to Jerusalem and Judah. Do not be afraid. These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to each other and render true and sound judgment in your courts. Do not plot evil against each other, and do not love to swear falsely. I hate all this, declares who I am. The word of who I am came to me. This is what who I am says. The fasts of the 4th, 5th, and 7th, and 10th months will become joyful and glad occasions and happy festivals for Judah. Therefore, love, treat them peace. This is what who I am says. Many peoples and inhabitants in many cities will yet come, and the inhabitants of the city will go to another and say, let us go at once to entreat who I am. This is what who I am says. In those days, 10 people from all languages and nations will take firm hold of one Jew by the hem of his robe and say, let us go with you, because we have heard who I am is with you. See, you see what I'm saying? The 10 Commandments, a prophecy. The word of who I am is against the land of Hadrach, and will come to rest on Damascus. For the eyes of all people and tribes of Israel are on who I am. and on Hamath too, which borders it, and on Tyre and Sidon. Ain't the Damascus like the Pope or something? And then what is Tyre? I think that's Persia and Sidon. Through they are very skillful. Tyre has built herself a stronghold, Islam, and she has heaped silver like dust, like gold in the dirt of the streets. But Huaim will take her away her possessions, and destroy her power in the sea, and she will be consumed by the fires. Ashkelon will see it and fear. Gaza will writhe in agony, and Ekron too. So you see what I'm saying? They're trying to fulfill this, and they're not understanding the word of who I'm supposed to go inside and do this. So they're physically carrying it out and hurting a lot of people. And I'm trying to warn people about this. Please do not follow in these ways. It's supposed to be removing the weight. Like, so if I had a bunch of stuff from these Semitic prophets or ways or laws, and it was plaguing me, then the name goes in and takes it out, not goes and literally kills these people. I'm telling you, they're murderers. And Ashkelon will be deserted. A mongrel people will occupy Ashdod, and I will put an end to the pride of the Philistines. I will take... See... Those who are left will belong to who I am and become the clan of Judah. So I'm talking about the prophets that I'm talking about, and the minor prophets and the people I'm lifting in these books. I've read enough of this for today. You guys can understand. If you want to read this, go ahead, because these people are doing enough of this at the moment, and it's... Ugh. So, if you do not want to be like a murderous pagan, please understand what I am saying and try to enjoy some of these videos. If you would like to be like Isis, Ra'el, and continue in Egyptian and Semitic ways and spread up to Japheth, where they're now destroying the Middle East, then whatever. Let these pagan gods be your god, I suppose. Have a beautiful life.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand? Every time I pick this thing up, I know there are millions of people out there who are going to hate me for it. Even now, here, I feel it. The stares, the judgment. And there's nothing I can do to change it. Yet I'm still here. No super serum, no blonde hair or blue eyes. The only power I have is that I believe we can do better. We can't demand that people step up and we don't meet them halfway. You control the banks. Shit, you can move borders. You can knock down a forest with the email. You can feed 1 million people with a phone call. But the question is, who's in the room with you when you're making those decisions? Is it the people you're going to impact? Or is it just more people like you?
Comes to you, no one really compares. But I'm scared and I'm nervous. I don't wanna get hurt anymore. I don't want nobody else. You know that you're fine as hell. I got ahead of myself. Finishing races and never begin now. I don't want nobody else. You know that you're fine as hell. I get ahead of myself. Keep on telling myself, don't rush. It's a little crush. Don't need to worry about it. Don't need to figure it out. better, and I deserve a chance at new love. I don't want nobody else. You know that you want as hell. I got ahead of myself, finishing races I'll never begin now. I don't want nobody else. You know that you want as hell. I get ahead of myself, keep on telling myself, don't rush, crush, don't worry about it, don't need to figure it out. Don't rush, it's a little crush, just let go. Don't need to figure it out. Don't rush, a little crush, need to worry about it, don't need to figure it out. Don't rush, a little crush, just let go. Don't need to figure it to worry about it, don't need to figure it out. Now don't rush, it's a little crush.